now up and running, so they heard us talk children, which is fine. Could be a lot worse things. So, oh, geez, yeah. We were coming back from a little bit of a break with schedule changes and everything. All is good.
I'm sorry about that.
All good. We know you have your commitments with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it was the first town hall meeting that I had been on with them, so it was nice to be a part of it, and to kind of hear all the rules and regulations now that we're in the time of COVID.
Yes. And how did things go from your perspective?
Good, really good. Every time, like I've only been there once before, but I didn't have to do the whole long bubble the last time. But I felt incredibly safe, so which is good with two kids that are under the age of 3. So, I try and be as safe as possible.
And I'm sure the same is with Mike as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's done it a few times now, and every time he said that that's the safest he feels. So, I mean, we've been tested more than anybody in my entire family. So it's like we're good. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So back, we just hit it on it. And thank you, Mark, from behind the scenes. Mark's great. We've dealt with him on a few occasions. So back at Ring of Honor, what has your role been? Where do you see? Because I know you were there a previous tenure. Where do you see yourself going currently with Ring of Honor?
Well, right now I'm in charge of the experience, which is a fan experience. It's basically giving the fans a little bit more interaction since they don't have, the actual experience of going to the show. We give them the experience of booking the matches. So right now I'm really involved with that. I'm also going to be involved with the women's division. There's going to be more on that to come. So a little bit behind the scenes, and also in front of the camera. So who knows? Maybe I'll get involved with the OGK. But it's really open right now, to see how far it goes.
And that's great. And folks, because we're on a few different avenues, so I'm trying to keep track of everything. If folks have some questions, let us know. But you just mentioned the ladies division,
Hmm.
and obviously you started in a time of diva search, and
Yeah.
the business has changed dramatically, not only overall but for the women.
Uh-huh.
So what has been the biggest change for you in terms from your perspective on where things have come with the women?
Um, I think that there's a lot more opportunities, but at the same time, it hasn't came far enough. As good as it is, at the same time, I can't wait to see things push even further. The biggest changes, of course, is more match time, more main events, more opportunities to be spotlit in on the bigger stages. Um, but it's still you still hear the stories, of being afraid to speak up or speak out about things that are going on. And that's the part that I'm hoping changes in the future. I mean, I, I was fearful, to speak up about things in my past run with WWE, and so that fear is still there. Going against the grain or doing things a little bit different. It's still a struggle, and I'm hoping that's what changes in the future.
Well, I was for a brief little bit involved with your recent chat in the Ring of Honor group that you did the other day, and you
Hmm.
actually answered a question as far as hitting and stuff is concerned. I was the one who asked about the "Do I owe you rent?" kind of deal. That yeah. So I know you were talking there about the I don't know if it's sheepishly being involved in matches anymore. Do you see yourself wrestling on a full-time basis, or do you like what you're doing now more behind the scenes and helping in other ways?
I enjoy what I'm doing now more. I think that there was a brief time there that the wrestling in the ring and being a competitor seemed like something I really wanted to be a part of, and so I tried it out. But it's just not for me. I like managing so much better, and as much as people hate to hear it, um, it's just not. It's just not my favorite.
Well, do you find, and obviously there's been some old school folks manager wise, even though you don't hear that term used as much now, but they used to have some physicality, like a Bobby Heenan might trip somebody, or, I mean, there's just different things amongst the history of the business. Do you mind physically getting involved as a manager per se, or?
No, it's one of my favorite parts because it could be that one thing that a manager does in the match that people remember forever. I mean, it's recently I did this thing for Ring of Honor where I watch a match and I film myself while I'm watching it and I have a reaction to that match. And the match was against the Bullet Club, and it was AJ and it was the Bucks. And in that match, there's a triple super kick, and it was on me. And I just remember that being one of my favorite moments of my entire time in Ring of Honor because of the crowd, because the crowd ate it up.
And speaking of that, that is a big thing currently for obvious reasons with COVID and everything else, like you said about testing. But the big thing being fans not at shows.
Mm-hmm.
How much, for you at least, is a big deal that fans aren't participating physically at shows?
Um, even though it's incredibly difficult to not have the fans there and to not be able to feed off the fans, it's also really nice to dig deep into characters and into storylines and to really know where the direction that you're trying to take the story. Because a lot of times, if you're out there, the fans will tell you if it's not going well, and so you'll change things up. In this sense, you can't change on the fly based on the fans because you don't know what the fans are thinking. And so you have to be more set in the direction that you're going. It's also my husband always talks about how the hits hurt a whole lot more when there's no fans there, and it's that adrenaline. So you miss out on that adrenaline. But as much as we're missing out on the fan experience actually being in the arena, you're getting it outside the ring. And that's in the form of Facebook groups. And, a lot of guys have started these YouTube shows and fan interactions with Ring of Honor watch parties. I just started a Patreon account. So, there's other ways that fans are getting involved, and I'm curious in a year from now which ones will stick and which ones will go by the wayside as fans get to come back into the arenas.
Yeah, definitely with the vaccines and stuff.
Mhm.
And it was funny. The reason I brought that up is because earlier this afternoon we were doing a watch along with Jimmy Corderas, the referee,
Yeah.
of his main event match that he refed with Edge and Taker from 24.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we love that mug, by the way. Your sipping mug there. Gotta love that. Looks like somebody get her some moonshine.
Oh gosh.
No,
It's been a while. The last time I had it, I think, was at my wedding.
yikes. But yeah, we were talking about the crowd interaction. Of course, Mania is a gargantuan show with now 40, 50, 60, whatever thousand people, but hopefully it will come back to where it's safe for people to do that and have that fan interaction.
I think it has to. I mean, I I think no matter what, humans are resilient and they will find a way to get back together. It's not healthy to continue to be this far apart from each other. It's not healthy to not be able to experience these milestone events like birthdays and and Christmases and those kind of things. Like we need those rituals to, even if it is the ritual of going to a wrestling show together, we need those things. That's part of our humanity.
Exactly. But speaking of 24, I was chuckling a little bit, and I mean this with all respect. You had a nice little interaction with Snoop Dogg on that show. Yeah. But and now you see him involved with Sasha, and now done stuff with AEW. And
Mhm.
what was your experience like with Snoop?
Oh, well, he was funny. He was sweet, professional.
Uh, well, that's and true fan of the business from
Oh
anybody
yeah,
who's
for
talked
sure.
about him.
Loves it.
Exactly. But we were talking as we were starting up here about family and concerns with COVID and the testing. And how's it been for you where you're so used to being go, 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 depending on who you work for? And now you've been home, which is nice in some ways. You and Mike are home with the kids on more of a full-time basis based on, I mean, it's not the usual schedule that you're used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and it's a curse. I feel like a better mother when I'm working. Bless the women that can do, stay-at-home moms, but I'm not one that's not my goal. That's not my dream. So, it's been tough in that sense. It's been tough to go from busy, busy, busy to just all of a sudden stop. And I mean, I had been off the road since October because they stopped my storyline, and then I was supposed to go on maternity leave the month after that. So um, I had been off the road for a while when COVID had started, and so it was a long time to be away from the thing that I love. And I can't wait to start taking the kids back out on the road. Freddie was one that she came right on the road with us, and she was hanging out in the hotels and watching the shows.
Well, speaking of that, and I don't know if you've had it. Well, I guess you would have in the last run with WWE had some interaction with Becky Lynch.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And she just had her first child recently. And
Mm-hmm.
just that drive you hear about Becky, but other women in the business. How difficult is it to have a family life compared to the demands of a full-time schedule with bigger companies?
Um, so this is a this is a question that a lot of fans like to uh, spin whenever I give answers, and it annoys me. So I will try my very best.
But before you go there, this is being recorded, folks, so you cannot speed her or spin her words. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's going to happen either way.
Yeah.
And that's why I've kind of slowed down on doing interviews, because I'm tired of that. Women do it every single day. They work full-time jobs and they have children. It is incredibly difficult to stay in shape, to fly, to take care of little ones when you get home. It is a crazy full-time job to have kids. It's a crazy full-time job to be a WWE superstar or a Impact Knockout or work for AEW or to work for Ring of Honor. These schedules are they're wonky and they're weird and they're not like normal people. So throw a virus on top of it and it makes it difficult. And I was released from WWE when I was 2 months postpartum. I was told that that was not going to happen. It happened anyways. It happened to a lot of people. A lot of people lost their jobs. So to find that drive to go back to work, um, it's because of the purpose of taking care of those kids. It's because of I have found greater meaning in life, um, to go back and to work. And every single woman out there that is holding down a full-time job and has kids out there, um, you know what? You are a superhero.
Exactly. And it's, like you said, we were actually talking about this earlier before we started the day, because I don't know, I know he'll have a question or two. He's in the room, but I think stepped away. Uh, when I brought up your name, that you were going to be a part of this, and part of that answer we were talking about in terms of, like you said, the staying in shape, the travel, the personal commitments, just life in general. It's amazing what you guys, both sexes, mind you, what you do to not only be on top of the game professionally, but personally, and just, because most jobs don't have that, where most jobs, I should say, and I'm not knocking it, are 9 to 5 jobs where you go punch in and you're home and you're in bed every night. You
Mhm.
guys aren't, so it's much more kudos to what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it, that part is hard because you don't have the normal, like if it was a normal job, you would drop your kids off at daycare and then you would pick them up after. You can't do that in this position. So, and now my daycare has been closed. They just reopened not too long ago, but my daycare had been closed. So, we had the kids every day. And then we had to ask my mom to retire because she worked at a nursing home and nursing homes were getting hit hard. So we had to ask her to retire in order to take care of our kids when we were on the road. Um, and so that's been interesting to work out. It's been difficult to work out in that sense because we don't have our normal daycare, we don't have our normal nanny, um, that we can lean on when we are out of town overnight.
Yeah, and but with the, how has what, or I should say, how was the reaction there when you asked mom, hey, can you step away from one thing to jump into another?
Yeah, it wasn't just me, it was my sister as well. My sister just had a baby a couple days ago. So
Congratulations.
she was pregnant and she has almost a 2-year-old now as well. So like it wasn't just my kids, it was her kids as well. So certain days my mom would come over and watch our kids, and then other days she'd go over and watch my sister's child. So it was the both of us asking her to do that because my sister was pregnant and my kids were so young, that we had to be safe as possible.
Well, speaking, let's go back to, and that's great. Luckily, everybody's been great and healthy and all that new stuff. But back to the professional side, you've been around since the early to 2000s. Like we said, you started with the Diva Search and
Hmm.
doing what you're doing now. We talked about the evolution of things. But what kind of goals do you have professionally to, before it's all said and done, wrestling wise? As far as the business, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's changing. I'd really like to create a strong women's division in Ring of Honor. That's my number one goal right now. It's been a while since they've had a women's division. Ever since COVID started, they were about to revamp the entire division at the beginning of last year, and it didn't happen with all the craziness. So that's my new goal, is to do that. And I also like I I don't I also would like for other women in wrestling to be able to look at someone like me and to say, "Yes, you can have a family and do this. Yes, you can be a mother and do this." Um, no matter how afraid I was that WWE would release me during all of it, it is worth it. 100%. The babies are worth it. And so I plan on working for a bit longer. Who knows? Maybe I'll have one more. But I can't do it uh, with fear because
Yeah.
that's no good for anybody. But if I can help one more person not be afraid and that can say to themselves, yes, I can have a family, because I want everybody to know this. No man ever questions when they're in this industry. No wrestler ever questions, oh, well, my wife's having a baby, so maybe I'll lose my job. They don't worry about that. The women do.
Yeah. But I like that approach that you are trying to be a standard bearer in a positive light.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But you were talking about the rebuilding, trying to rebuild the Ring of Honor women's division when we can.
Hmm.
And I've noticed lately across all companies, several really strong women as far as talent and creative and just everything across the board. Who do you like right now? Yes, there's the ladies in WWE and stuff, but I'm think the one that came to mind is some in Impact and all, such as Rosemary and Jordan Grace. And but who out there in the scene are you seeing women wise that would be good for Ring of Honor?
I mean, there's a bunch. I think that I not only want to go for um, the new up and comers. I don't just want them. I also would like to go with the women that have a ton of experience and that have changed the lives of other women in wrestling, but they themselves haven't gotten the kudos that they deserve. I mean, I'm looking at women like Trisha Adora, but I'm also looking at women like Lufisto. I mean, so I think that um, there's a lot out there that I think deserve an opportunity, and it's nice that there's going to be a whole new platform for women to be a part of.
Well, Ring of Honor wise, like you said, you had a group meeting today, which
Mhm.
is all positive and up to date on how things are going to be run. What is coming down a pike for Ring of Honor that you can speak of as far as shows, and just what does 2021 as of right now look like for the show?
So, let's see. What can I tell you? We are going to continue with the experience. We're going to keep building that up. We're going to keep giving fans the opportunity to choose their matches. The women's division will be coming back at some point. I just don't want to give specifics because everything is changing daily. So that's happening as well. But I think, I mean, just personally, not that I heard this from anywhere, but I think we're definitely going to start having fans back sometime this year. You know, there's a lot of good that's happening and a lot of movement with the vaccine. So I can't imagine not having people back in the arena sometime this year.
Well, is the and it's funny, I'm getting some messages about the internet connection. Some like we have people from the states here and overseas been watching and joining in and out. It's funny talking about the connection here as you're giving that answer. But I want to go back to you. Besides that side note there, uh, favorite place that you've performed as far as, and when I say that, like I know Ring of Honor does a lot in the Northeast and based out of Maryland, and I've seen you at some shows in Philadelphia and such. Is there a particular town you really enjoyed working in?
I did love working in Philadelphia. I mean, the crowds are insane. Chicago Ridge. I mean, every time we've been there has been just incredible. So for Ring of Honor, those two places, it's going to be exciting being back in Baltimore once we can bring fans back, just because Ring of Honor's home right now. But I love working in Tokyo. I love working in Osaka. Every time I went to Nottingham in England, oh my gosh, there was a little like bar in the hotel that for some reason I always had so much fun in, sometimes too much fun. Uh, and so there's a lot of places I really enjoy working.
And I know, I believe, and people don't lash me in the emails after this, as I said this, but I believe it was Jericho that would say in some of those towns overseas, there'd be some great karaoke shows. Were you a part of those?
Not karaoke, no. I did karaoke one time when I was in Japan, and it was we went karaokeing. It was like with a group of people, and Lillian Garcia was singing and I'm like, I'm not gonna sing now. Like,
Thank you.
I'm not singing. Like, it's not happening. Like, not only that, but I am a nervous wreck when it comes to singing live. I've recorded in the studio, but that's way different than in front of people.
Yeah. Well, that, and like you said, how do you follow Lillian? Like,
Yes, you don't. You sit down. Just sit down.
yeah, that was funny because we opened today, and then I can't believe we went this direction, but it's all good because I like seeing a real Maria Bennett. But yeah, but we opened up with a musician that did a Q&A and actually performed for us for an album she's going to actually get ready to record this month.
Oh, great.
And it's funny. She said she likes the term but don't like the term, if you know what I mean, quote unquote, of musical royalty because of the family she comes from. But it was like this. It wasn't a professional setup in terms of performing. She grabbed the guitar off the wall, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, just hearing her was like, remind you of Alison Krauss or Lily, and I'm like, God damn, how can we finish this? Right. But it was just one of those, like, all right, game, set, match. We can't go nowhere else from here. So, but
just fun.
Yeah, it's like done. But Ray, you finally were able to connect as part of that storm. You had a question for Maria.
Oh, yes. Maria, this is a question. Which female wrestler did you actually like working with? Which one was your good competitor in the ring?
Oh gosh, they were all so amazing. I mean, what people don't realize is that a lot of the women that I worked with in WWE the first time, the divas, a lot of them came from the indies. So like Beth Phoenix or Mickey James or Jillian Hall, like these women came from the indies, so they knew how to work. Or Melina, like, so when you were in the ring with them, you always felt like you were in the ring with a professional. But I also love working with Lita and with Trish, and I mean, they were all fantastic to work with. And Lita took care of me in my very first matches when I had no idea what I was doing. I had no training. And Mickey always took care of the match in the sense that like she was the ring general when we were all out there. And then all the other women that came in right around the same time as me that were considered, the models or whatever, super uber athletic. Michelle McCool was one of the best wrestlers I ever worked with. So many. And I mean, I've been incredibly blessed to be in the ring with Gail Kim. Thank God, because she covered up all of my horribleness in the ring. So like, they're all amazing. I mean, and then you watch someone like Molly Holly, who, I mean, she doesn't age for one.
No.
And physically, she's just incredible in the ring. I mean, Medusa, like I've been in the ring with a lot of really cool people, and I'm very blessed to be surrounded by such strong women.
Sounds good. Sounds like you had a good experience working with all your friends.
I did. Yes, very much so.
But speaking of the divas, I want to end on a funny note with you. If you can, I'm assuming you were a part of this story, but don't have it in front of me to be 100%. The diva dodgeball and that whole thing that ended up in Wrestler's Court. Were you a part of that?
I was, but I don't remember any of it. I was oh gosh, I don't remember, like, I remember the dodgeball part of it, but I don't remember the Wrestler's Court and what happened in there.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it was funny, like hearing quote unquote the athletic ones, your Ivories, your Victorias, certain ones that were, like you said, came from a wrestling background. When they told the story, it'd be like, we were doing what our bosses asked us to do. It'd be like, why are you giving us grief by asking? You know what I mean? Like, it was, I found it hilarious from that standpoint. It's like, we were doing what was asked of us for that day.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of things that we did for fear of losing our job. And so everybody likes to say that the Divas evolution was created because the women just got better. I mean, all wrestlers are better than myself, but there were a lot of incredibly talented wrestlers in the Divas era, and they just never had the chance to really show what they could do. So we were doing a job, and unfortunately, some of those wrestling women weren't able to show just how good they were. But I saw it when I was on the road with them, when we would be training together, when we would have house show matches. I mean, you knew it. You knew how talented these women were, but unfortunately, that's not what they wanted on TV.
Well, and you can tell, not only from your experiences, but just the way you, not just here, but have spoken about the evolution and trying to be a positive role model, as we said here, for women, and being a family person and still having a career in it, and just the whole thing. So, folks, make sure you check out Ring of Honor experience that Maria is involved with. What's that? Hey, all right. Yeah, I think we could do. Do you mind taking one more question from someone?
No, not at all.
David, go ahead, man.
Hey Maria, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm also a WWE fan, and I was wondering, the Royal Rumble is coming up pretty soon, and the WWE. Would you like to come back and be a part of it?
I am now a part of Ring of Honor. And so I'm going to be working with them for the foreseeable future. I always say never. But right now, the way that they do business is not necessarily in line with the way that I do business. So at this time, no, but you never know.
And also, I collect wrestling figures, so I was wondering if I can have one of yours.
I do have virtual signings.
Yes.
Feel free to tune into one of them. I don't ship them out personally, but there is somebody that does that for me. So feel free to join a virtual signing, and I will sign your stuff.
We will get you that info as well, David. Thank you. But David's a sweetheart.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah. No, I like how that's awesome. How the question. Yeah, the answer is always no unless you ask. But this is how I see it. But definitely,
I actually don't have any more of my figures. I
really?
I don't have any more of my figures, and up until recently, I didn't have any more of my Playboys. But they have found a few of them. My Playboy is very hard to find for some reason. I don't know if it's, just because they don't print them anymore, or they used to print. I have no idea. But yeah, my Playboys are hard to find, but we recently just picked up 40 of them. So I'm doing a signing in March that's going to have a lot of Playboys.
Well, you know what? I'll end with this then, because that's an interesting part. And I forgot that you had participated with Playboy. Being that life has changed for you now as a parent, how do you feel if and when your kids learn about that mommy did this? And the reason I ask this and want to get your opinions, because on our normal show, we talked to Candace Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
and she had such a positive experience talking about working with them, and that, but being in the same boat, being a mom now and of
Mm-hmm.
3 daughters, and just so, what's your take on when your kids become old enough and maybe hear what mommy had done? And it was nothing wrong, mind you.
No, I think we focus so much on war and on violence, and every day on television, it's totally accepted to see all the violence that is in this world. But love and sex and sexy photos, or the fact that mommy is strong and sexy, is somehow wrong. And I think that in my household, we are going to place love and being positive and being in control of your own body much higher and in much higher regards than we are in all of the negative on television right now. So I think that there should be more love on television and less war. And so that's how I approach it. I think that women should feel confident in their body. It's my body. I'm going to do what I want with it. And I did it at a mature age. I was in control of all of my faculties when I made that decision. And so I hope my kids have the strength to make positive, well thought out decisions as well.
And I'm glad to hear that you are in similar thoughts with that as far as what Candace was.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was saying, we hope that folks will check out the Ring of Honor experience and just Ring of Honor in general. We're actually going to, as you step out, what can you, is there any fun little things we can mention at PCO tonight?
I'm scared of that man. You could tell I'm terrified of him. Yeah, I hope you have a great show with him tonight.
I appreciate it. But Maria, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Hey, you know what though? Anybody that tags with the Briscoes, I am a friend of. So you know what? If the Briscoes love him, so do I.
Yeah, but he is still a scary person. So, oh geez. But no, much love to you and the kids and Mike and everybody. Stay safe.
Okay, great. Thank you.